The best kind of girlfriends are women who aggressively believe in each other, defend each other, and think the other deserves the world.
Sometimes realize there's nowhere.
You have tuned into Breaking the Mask of Depression with your host, Diva with Depression.
Just waiting back.
Welcome to Breaking the Mask of Depression with me, your host, the Diva with Depression. I hope you guys are doing well today. I am not going to talk a lot today because I have some beauties in the house that are ready to chit chat. So we're just going to get started. You guys always hear me talk about my sister circle. I know for a fact that they keep me alive. Them with their daily texts and their daily calls keep me going. So rock bottom, and rock bottom, it gets kind of dark down there, but these ladies keep me going. So these three ladies and my late sister Gina know where the bodies are buried. Well, some of the bodies. Y'all don't know where all the bodies are.
We might all know if we all collaborate and talk about it.
Right.
So please welcome my sisters. Hey, ladies.
Hey, sis.
Hello.
People with depression. Thanks for having me.
So we have two sisters here. One is going to join in along the way. So we'll start. So we'll go in alphabetical order. So L.
Start with me, I guess.
Your name and how long have you known the Diva with Depression?
Well, I am Lynn, and I have Lynn Cotton. I've known the Diva with Depression for over 20 years. Oh gosh, how long? 22 years now, I think.
I think so, right?
Yeah, I think it's 22 years. It's hard to believe. Wow. Yeah. But and we met at a wonderful place
Don't say the name.
of employment. I'm not. Trust me.
Patooey.
No. I don't curse. Um,
Unless you have to.
but no, right. Unless it's about that place of employment I'm talking about. But yeah, that's how we met. We met on the job, and it's been well over 22 years. And if I could actually math right in my head real quick, I'd tell you, but I can't. So
Because
that's me in
what year did you start working there?
2002.
Oh,
2002.
oh yeah.
Hmm.
So I was going to say 4, but I guess no. That's when we started the home buying stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Miss M.
Wow. I'm Michelle Sweeney McCombs. Donna, Dee Dee, sis, little sis. I've known Diva with depression. I don't even want to say my age, man.
I
That's gonna
know,
tell
but
my
I
age.
was thinking today, sis. It's been about
Wow.
40 years now, probably.
It's
Oh wow.
over 40. I was 25.
Wow.
Yeah. Because that was the time my dad was throwing us out of the house. And he bought the house. I was like, I'll move when I get married. He was like, that ain't happening no time soon. You gotta go. So Donna moved into the house that my father and brother purchased. I was 25. I'm
Wow.
proud to
And
say, I'm not. I don't hide my age anymore. I'm 60.
but I met you when you and Greg were working
We
at,
were working at Citibank. I
yeah.
met her brother first, so her brother's my real BFF, not Donna.
Wow.
Let's get that straight, okay?
Good old
So
Greg.
I met Greg at the job, Citibank. I was working with her brother for quite some time. So, those were some great times in the late 80s, early
Yeah.
90s. Met
Wow.
Donna, got
I
close.
didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
40 years. Yeah, long time. I mean, we were babies, I'll
I
say we were
know.
babies,
I
early
know.
20s, you know. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. And Michelle's younger brother worked at that place too. So
Right.
she understands
Mm.
that it was a curse word.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Actually, her
That
baby
place did a
brother
lot
and
of
her
things.
cousin, we all worked together at the same place.
Hmm.
Of course, there's going to be a relative.
Of course. Of
Of
course.
course, they're relative. Yes, absolutely. Even I had relatives there, and they didn't even start up there in New York. So,
Crazy, right?
That is
Crazy.
yep.
funny. That's funny.
That's
Yes.
funny. So
And
yeah, longevity with all of us. Yes, definitely.
wow. Wow. And I always I was telling well, first of all, everybody, I have nicknames for everybody. So you
Uh,
will hear me say Twinster. And Lynn's name is Twinster, and she calls me Twinny.
20.
Michelle
That's
I call
20.
Sis. Michelle is Sis. And later on we'll meet another one, and she has a nickname too. So but like I was telling Twinster the other day, my therapist even knows you guys' name and number
Uh,
and everything because sisterhood is so important to me because I
Yeah.
don't have any sisters.
Right.
Um,
right. Same.
Twinster, you and
Mhm.
I are the same in that light.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Michelle, you have a big family, so
Too many.
it
I
so
wouldn't trade it for the world, but it is what it is.
it is. But I always think that like when you're missing a certain piece, when you find it somewhere else, it always becomes so important
Right.
to you.
Right.
And
Hmm.
Right.
friendship,
Hmm.
like friendship is, and loyalty and trust is huge with me,
Right.
especially when you get into what we're going to get into talking about mental illness.
Right.
It's so important to have a support system in place because the
Yeah.
line between here and gone and sane and insane, it's all, so thin that you
Right.
need a great support system. So
Right.
thank you, ladies, for coming on today. I know that we all have crazy schedules. So let's
For
start.
sure.
Let's get into
Before we start the conversation, let's say prior to me going into the deepest part of my depression, what was your understanding of what mental illness was, Michelle?
I would say growing up in my era, because I am older, our parents dealt with it differently. And I'm sure you can remember this, Donna. We were in the salon one day, and my mom, I'm not sure if it was you saying something about being depressed. And my mom was like, I've been depressed for years,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
they never dealt with it
right,
back then. You just kept it moving. She basically said, you never had the time to stop and think about depression when you're
right,
raising a big family, right? Or, they just called it something different back then. It
yeah,
wasn't depression, it wasn't mental illness. It's just something that happens and you just get over it and you keep it moving. That's how I knew what mental illness and depression was. And as I got older, dealing with it, we'll get into it later, figuring things out, how things were growing up and noticing patterns that I didn't notice until I got older and started thinking back on them. So that's really my first experience was my mother saying she never had, time to think about herself or be
right,
depressed or have mental illness because she had a family to raise.
right,
So there
right.
was no time to really, you know, sit down and tackle it, basically.
Yeah. Lynn, what about you?
Well, even though I'm not that much younger, but I am a little younger, and the years do make a difference. But
Yeah.
because I grew up with older parents, I think I dealt with something similar. However, the difference with when I grew up, my mom was okay. First, my mom was a school counselor,
Mm.
so she was also the favorite school counselor. So it wasn't just about filling out paperwork and things like that. She was the one that people would come and talk to.
Right.
Right.
Um, but she was very, very was she's still living. She is and was when I was growing up very, very religious.
Mm.
So my experience when I was young was the first phase, which is the mask that you talk about every day, all every episode. It was the mask. There was no depression, even though
Mm-hmm.
she was a counselor. There was no depression. It was church first, and you're gonna pray about things, and and everything is gonna be okay, and the Lord is never gonna put anything more on you than you can handle, and
Right.
go to God. And so that was the first. That was the first mental health awareness. Look, I stopped. I'll just bam.
So, Twinster, it sounds like you're similar to Michelle.
Hey, girl.
So, guys, I told you that we were going to have my third sister joining.
Donna. My name is Gisela Oliver. Donna and I have been friends for maybe 25 years or more. And it's a pleasure to participate in this conversation. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Miss G. And I was explaining that everybody has a nickname. And so um, Gigi has two, but we won't share the one. But Miss G, that's what I call her. So thank you guys. Thank you again. G, uh, Michelle and Lynn the question was, what was your understanding of mental illness before my sort of illnesses started happening?
Um, I was pretty much familiar with mental illness just because of movies, documentaries. I believe my ex-husband suffered from some form of mental illness, and I was concerned about that. So I'm also learning in school and maybe dealing with a couple of family members who probably suffer from depression. Um, I knew it was something that was probably like taboo back when we were teenagers, but I was meeting you wasn't the first time that I was exposed. And I had a couple of girlfriends that had some form of mental illness as well.
My older family members until I was in the psych ward the first time. Yeah, we were saying that, of course, our elders didn't acknowledge it. I didn't find out.
Okay.
And, now, of course, not even starting with our age, because still there's some people that are our age that don't acknowledge it in Black and brown communities. And Black women, we got to be super women all the time. So who has time to stop? Like Michelle said, mommy was like, I got 8 kids, I don't have time. Who has
Mhm.
time?
Yeah.
So what were the first signs that you noticed in me? We'll start with Gigi.
You're reluctant to, well, I guess you were very candid that you were going through some issues. Because at the particular time, I was back and forth from Charlotte to New York. So um, I would think Anthony told me that you were going through something. He had explained that you were having some difficulties, and I guess I took it in just to try to process it. You know, I don't think that it uh, affected our friendship in any kind of way. Um, I think I was just patient because at the time I had another girlfriend, Jonica.
Okay.
Yes. So I had another close girlfriend that had attempted suicide. I think I shared that with you. And I was there with her for that process. So that's when the conversation, I guess, going through what she went through, it wasn't like, oh my God, how do I deal with it? And I don't think that it really, I don't know. I was kind of receptive. I don't think I treated you any different or
Right. No,
Yeah.
and I want to make that
Mhm.
clear. Like none of you ever did.
Mhm.
Really different. You
Uh,
guys were always gracious, so I'll just throw that out there. Lynn, what about you?
I'd say, well, like Gigi said, it's something that I noticed. Something that you were very open with me about in the beginning, but just given my own experience and personal experience, professional experience, I knew a lot about situational depression, but I knew some about clinical major depression, and I knew a little bit about the difference. So I was not aware of how serious it was for you until I started hearing you say certain things about yourself. And that's when I started realizing, okay, this and it took time too, again, because being familiar with situational depression and also being the type of person I am, I'm kind of like, well, once this situation is over, it'll be better. You'll feel better. And when I realized that was not the case for you, that's when I had to say, okay, well, this is something different. And that was while we were working together. So
Right.
for the better part of our friendship, I've known how serious it is. And even though, certain things didn't happen, and like suicide attempts or hospitalizations or anything like that didn't happen until much later on, I still think I was aware of how serious it was for quite a while.
And you and I, you were newlywed, I believe, when the horrible part started. So, we were all in different places. Like Gigi said, she was
Mm,
back and forth between two states, newlywed.
yeah,
Lauren was still young. It was a lot.
yeah,
Michelle,
yeah.
mhm.
you've known me the longest, so it's
Yeah.
going to be interesting to hear when you started noticing.
Hmm.
Well, I think I noticed it right away because we talked about a lot of things with your mom
Right.
before you moved in with me, um, visiting you guys on Clarendon Avenue, seeing something was wrong,
Yeah.
right? And I think we got really, really close because I had a big family. My mother basically adopted her as her daughter. You know, she was always around us, and just not having stability growing up, that affects you,
It
right?
does.
Absolutely.
Learn,
Yeah.
having to learn how to cook at 12,
So
7.
young. Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
taking care of her brothers. One was older, one was
Right.
younger. So I
Right.
knew things were going on, but I didn't think it was going to escalate. She had a lot of things held inside that she didn't release, didn't express, but I saw things. And then, becoming an adult moving in with us, um, it was challenging because I had a big family. She had to, she moved into my home and she had to deal with everybody. It was a
Mhm.
three family house. So Donna and myself and my sister were at the top. My brothers were in the middle, and I think my older sister was at the bottom. So she was dominated by Sweeties. So it was loving, but she also needed her own space. She needed her own freedom because she went from. I mean, we had some great times,
Oh,
there,
yeah.
Yeah.
and then she had to find her own way. So when she moved out, it was that first apartment, still in Canarsie, right, not far from where we were. And I think one day I got mad at Tony because the house was a wreck. And that's when when someone is not organized, right? So I had OCD really bad. I, s- I can't say had, I still have it.
I saw that
And
house. I know you do.
yeah, so I was always
I
like,
didn't even ask.
yeah, I was always like, my OCD was on 1,000. So when I would go there, Tony would do something. She was little, she would spill something and she just leave it. And I'm like, clean it up, and then and the next time I come, it's still there. So it's like you're juggling work at the demon job, the devil job, right?
Mhm.
You got a
Mhm.
man Tony at the time, you have to deal with him, and you got to deal with the kids. It was hard for her, and I saw that. And everybody think I'm perfect, but I don't know. I try to balance it out. Sometimes people don't know, my struggles and what I go through because, I deal with it.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, but I noticed it right away. I just didn't feel like it was going to escalate to where it is. But when you have people in your circle that don't accept any kind of responsibility, it's hard for you to let that go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So with me, Donna's not as crazy as I am when it comes to speaking my mind. She does speak her mind, but it's not like
It is a lot.
yeah, mine is piercing, right?
Yeah.
I'll say that much. It's very piercing when uh, when I say something, I got to keep repeating it over and over and over. It's like I'm just done. Like I can't keep repeating myself. Everybody's different, right? And they deal with things differently. So I'm the fifth child. I'm the middle child, number 5 of 8. So my family, I had a lot of burden on me of being the middle child, keeping the balance in the family. Even my parents were alive, and now that they're not, I still like am the middle child. I have to keep a lot of balance. So I kind of sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I
Yeah.
kind of balance it out where I don't let it get to me where it's going to destroy me. It's going to take over. It's going to empower me. It's going to leave my son, my husband. Like, my husband's on my ass now about that. I do too much, but I like it. So mind your business. That's how I feel. Like, it ain't affecting your ass. So it's just things. I think I had ADHD in life.
Mhm.
Donna can attest to that. I do a lot of stuff, but some people can't do that. Some people can't juggle. So I did notice early on, and Donna know I was always like doing everything all the time. I don't even think she'd keep up with me half of the time. But I did notice it early, you know, and I do see it when I'm around other people or going to people homes. You notice certain things. Like I'm very observant.
Yeah, I think that well, I know that, and I say that till this day, like you guys are the closest thing to me other than the kids, and there are still things that you don't know.
Right.
And would probably be shocked, if I shared it someday. And um so I was very good at not hide I don't want to say hiding it, but I was very good at sugarcoating it,
Hmm.
making it look like everything was going okay, um when it really wasn't. And
Hmm.
I don't there's some things that I wasn't purposely trying to hide from people. There are certain things that's how I was raised. Like, what goes on here, you don't let anybody else know what's going on.
Right.
And I think that
Right.
I know that that's how my brothers and I were raised. So, there are things to this day that, they're like the three of us haven't shared, my brothers and I. So,
Right.
but one thing and a few things that Michelle is a hairstylist, and like one of her things that she did for me the first time, one of the first times, my hair was matted. So I was coming to work, and Lynn and G, you might not know, but remember I wore my bun all the time, but nobody knew that in the middle my hair wasn't done. And so I I I got away with it when I was here, but when I moved back to Jersey and went to Michelle for the first time, and she opened up my hair, and I was expecting her, because she's right, her mouth is like a pistol. And so I expected her to curse me out, but she didn't. She just, opened up my hair, took her time and combed that out or whatever. And, like, I'm saying sorry because it's going to be a lot of work for her. And I was ready the whole time there to explain to her why my hair looked the way she did. But she didn't judge me for it. She just did what she had to do, you know.
Right.
Gigi
Right.
is my friend that likes to chat on the phone. You know, if we're on the phone, well, first of all, Michelle and G like to talk on the phone. And so
That's
I know
good.
it's a big thing. You know, it was a big thing that I didn't like to talk on the phone because I felt like I was slighting Miss G by not having a conversation with her. And sis, you too.
Mhm.
Although you were a bit more used to me than Miss G was.
Right.
So I got it. I was so excited when G would start texting me and now messaging me, and I know that that was a big step for her to adjust to my communication style.
Mhm.
um Twinster, you know, you were in the throes of it when I met you. Like you were in the throes of it because they were in a different state, and so
Yeah.
you were you let me into your friend group. You let me into your family, you let me into my buddy's life. And so, you know, I'm saying all this to say is that the three of you, and including Gina, in different ways, you all accepted me, even though you knew that there was more going on. You didn't judge me for it, and you didn't question me. You didn't push me out of it or whatever. You just supported me, which I
Right.
think is important, which is what I always tell people. Like, you may not be able to fix it, you may not be able to change it. So you're just there, you know?
Mhm.
Um, Miss G, and I share this with my therapist and everybody, and it's probably on a million of my episodes. Every day you send me a meme, good morning. And if I tell you that I'm not feeling well, you tell me what about praying.
Mhm. Can she
Oh,
read?
listening. Oh, I think faith helps Lisa, myself, all of us to get through a lot of things. I always tell you to have faith, to keep praying and keep believing. Never give up.
That's right.
Sis is always good for a good morning and an F word. And that's why
And nothing wrong with that either.
listen, I
I
already
don't know.
explained
Donna
in the
lying.
beginning. Like, you
She
don't know
lying
what's
on
going
you,
to
y'all.
come out of any of our mouths.
She lying
But
on you,
Mhm.
everybody
y'all.
knows that funny
She's
stuff is
lying. You said she's lying on you.
That's only at night. It's at nighttime, not in the morning.
Oh, not in the morning, nighttime.
um,
Listen, we live. We get grace because we live in New York, and that's how it is.
Yeah,
you
wow.
have to
Yes.
be everywhere nowadays.
Yeah. Well,
Twinster
definitely.
is always good for a laugh in the morning.
Mm.
You know, a grumpy face, because you know we'll share a grumpy face.
Right. That's right.
But the key is that they all reach out every day. Um, so you guys have already answered what I was going to say next about how you approached what I was living with. Um, do you think that there was any way that it affected you negatively, our friendship? And please be honest, because what I want people to understand is that yes, there are goods and there are bad. Like, I have family members that stop speaking to me
Mm.
because I don't talk on the phone,
Yeah.
because they don't like to text. You know, and I understand that communication is a big part of mental illness. Like, we don't like to talk on the phone, we don't like to socialize, we don't like to do certain things. So please be candid if there is, let's say, one quick thing that you say is a downside to being in a friendship with someone that is living with a mental illness. We'll start with you, Twinster. Lynn.
Well, we did kind of discuss this not too long ago, actually. One of the things that I will do is I'm not a phone person. I have not been a phone person since high school. And and, and it's just the truth. I'm not. And I think it has a lot to do with growing up with just boys. I didn't
Yeah.
have anybody to talk to growing up. And so I kept a lot of things to myself. I had a very small family. I felt like I was the black sheep, if you could, in a way. Because I grew up in a small town. I always felt like I didn't belong, but
Mhm.
everybody else had family. Everybody else, that's my cousin. That's my cousin. I didn't have that. So not having someone to talk to was the way I grew up. I didn't like it. And as I got older, I decided to do something about it. So when I did make friends, they were true friends, which is why when I became friends with you, 20, it was, I saw how genuine you were. That's not what you get a lot of, especially from females. And so when I saw that in you, I was like, okay, this is somebody I could actually be myself around. I could talk to. If I have a problem, I can go to her. I can say what I want to say. But after I got to know you a little bit better, and my life has been crazy, and it still is, I do decide to keep some things from you because I don't want to add to what you're already going through simply because I know how much you love us, and I know that you are an empath just like I am. And to feel like I would feel like I'm unloading on you, even though I know in your heart of hearts you would be like, you better talk to me, you better say something, you better. I know you would. I get cussed out. And look, even if you don't have a vehicle, you would put it over here. I know you. So I do keep things from you, and I would say that's the biggest downside for me. And also because it's hard for me to make female friends, and I've lost female friends.
Mm-hmm.
Being in at this age, it's hard to make a new friend. I don't want to say I'm not looking for a new friend, but it is hard to find a new friend that you can be around and do things with. And I don't ever want to burden you with oh, I'm lonely. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. But then charge you with making plans and figuring out what we're going to do. And because I'm not always good with that at this point in my life either, you know? So I just kind of, I hold back sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the downside for us.
G.
Well, I don't hold back. In fact, you're one of my confidants. I include you in anything and everything. And I like the fact that you listen, So I tell you all the time that I appreciate our sistership. Yeah, it's like you're more than a sister. You're like no, you're more than a friend. You're like a sister to me. As you know, I tell Donna everything. So, if I get missing, Donna know who did it. It's just there's no holds bar. She can literally write a book about me, and I think that's one of
I
the
already
things that,
started.
huh?
I already started.
So I don't. In fact, I encourage her. Anytime I'm having something, I know it's probably difficult, but you never share that. You made it work. Um, we've always been there for each other. So I don't know. What I would like for you to travel. I didn't know you was afraid of flying, but I see they always think you can do it. We haven't even planned it. Just let's get our suitcases and just go. Um, I don't look at that as being a part of mental illness because there's plenty of people who just can't get up and go and travel. You know, um, I think I share every aspect of my life with you. So I don't think your mental illness is what I am concerned about, which is your relationships with men, which don't have anything to do with, maybe it does on your behalf, but I'm, concerned about your safety, who loves you. And that's genuine for someone who's having difficulty with mental or not. That was my concern mostly with you. I feel that you are resilient. People who, um, like PJ, I mean, she was very concerned because she too suffers from, mental illness. And I always say, Donna has resilience. Just pray for her. She's going to be okay. So that's where I'm at, like, Yeah. Do you feel, because it goes both ways? Do you feel like or if I've ever not included you in something? Because sometimes you might feel that way.
No, I the three of you have always been you know how they say I may say no, I don't want to go, but you include me, you invite me anyway. Always, always. That has never been an issue with any of you, including me and stuff. And um, I think that sis, I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll answer. I'll answer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm older, right? So I don't remember what the question was. What I don't like about
No, I was saying, is there any one thing that is that causes my mental illness causes a problem in our friendship that you can
yeah,
think of?
yeah, there's a couple of things. And I'm gonna tell you on the air. When you keep things from me, when she keeps things from me, um, or she'll do
Yeah.
something and tell me afterwards because she knows I'm not gonna like it.
See,
That's
you're
all.
all nodding your head, but nobody said it.
Nobody
No,
said
no,
it.
but no,
I
I can agree with Michelle. I can see that.
yeah,
That makes
yeah,
sense. That makes
yeah,
sense. You know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. She doesn't want us to worry. She knows how I am. And I'm a big communicator. Why? I'm gonna have 1,000 questions for her. What's the
Yeah.
alternative? That's just why do you have to do that? And when she tells me she's had so many medications, I've had them. She's had them all. So many treatments, this, that, and the other. And I would say, you can't fix the brain. There's no fixing the brain with mental illness. My brother suffers from mental illness, and he it happened at the Devil Place, where you guys worked, and it's just something that we have to deal with every day. Not knowing one day, he might not be because the last time, he almost wasn't.
Right.
So Donna knows that I'm pretty much the caregiver for all of my siblings. It's 8 of us, and she doesn't want to burden me, but it's not a burden. I'd rather know what's going on than find out later. That's just me. Or like like when I do call on the phone, she knows she better answer because I very rarely do that. But when I want to do that is when I just want to check on her verbally, because
Mhm.
we're always texting, but sometimes I'll be like, nah, I need to talk to her. Something ain't right, you know, something's not right. So I want to hear from my sister. I want to hear her voice, and
You
I'll
need to get the
know.
voice.
Like her
Yeah.
masks don't always work with me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Um,
and I
yeah.
don't like not telling her stuff because I don't want to burden her. With what Lynn was saying. But if you don't, it burdens them even more when they find out later. So I try not to keep secrets from her.
Well, and I have to say too that it's not so much my like things going on in my life because she knows about a lot. She knows about a lot of things going on, but I think it's more or less like if I am the one that's feeling down and just need to talk to somebody, I won't always reach out.
Right.
I won't always be that person. But that is not just about her mental health, it's also about mine. And that's
Yeah.
I guess a part of our friendship dynamic, if that makes sense. Um
I,
and
yeah.
again, I think it's just also part of the way, just a part of the way that I grew up. Even though my mother was the communicator and the counselor, it's different. She was different for her children than she was for other people's children. And
Of
then
Well,
course.
dealing
yeah.
with it,
Yeah.
dealing with that and not being that person until I got older. I'm learning. I'm communicating better. I'm better
Yeah.
at it now
I
than
think
I
with
was
Absolutely
me,
not
before.
so.
with my relationship with Donna was, I have a friend that I've known longer than Donna, and she passed away. Donna knew her as well, Leslie, and she had depression, really bad, and her happiness came through hearing other people's stories, positive things. Like, if I was doing New York Fashion Week, I had to go to her house the next day when it was over. Literally. I wasn't calling her on the phone to talk about Fashion Week. I had to be there with her. You know how she was.
Yeah.
And I better had some gifts for her because she just like she couldn't get out the house because of her physical ailments and stuff, but it kept her going. And I think with Donna, when I talk to her, but whether it's good or bad, it's just communicating with her means a lot. You know, it fulfills something in that space. It keeps her mind off of whatever negativity is going on with the mental illness. And she told me too. We just had something with my family, my older sister, and I told her I didn't tell my brother who suffers from mental illness because I wasn't sure how he was going to take it. She texted me back and she said, "Don't do that. You need to let him know because it's worse if you don't."
Right.
Right.
And I
So
think that
When he finds out later on.
right.
right.
And that's the answer to Miss G's question. That is the biggest thing that I would say with my friends, with the three of you. And it's not the three of you because I just had a huge fight with Greg a couple of weeks ago about this. That I understand the part about not wanting to tell me or not wanting to burden me or not wanting to,
Right.
you know, to overwhelm me.
Right.
But the flip side of it is that is who I am. So, if Miss G calls and she wants, or message and she wants to talk about something, then we're going to message. We're not going to talk about what I'm going through at the time. If Twinster, if you would tell me that you're not, in the space or whatever, then I'm going to send you a bunch of curse jokes and memes and, or
Right. Right.
bake a gluten-free cake for you for the weekend. you know
Mhm.
it's the same with, well, I will say that Michelle is she is pretty upfront even if it's delayed. So I notice is that she will tell me stuff but it'll be delayed, or
Yeah.
um a couple of weeks later or whatever. So that is the thing that is the only issue that I have with you guys, is that I don't mind because, like Shell said, it takes my mind off of what I'm going through. And if I can be of assistance to you guys, then that makes me feel better because I already feel like I'm not a complete friend, if that makes sense, right? And so if I'm helping you guys, then that makes me feel like, okay, I earned my friendship today. I earned my friendship today. Talking about the good girdles with Miss G, or talking about the tall cake with Twinster, and talking about hair or something with Sis. And so I understand being selective with how you tell me or how much, but you can share. You can share. You're not going to break me. Um,
I
and
kind of
and
feel like with us when because I say everything, right? I kind of feel like I need Donna to like, even though I feel like I'm balanced, sometimes I'm unbalanced, and Donna will make it make sense for me.
yeah, and that's what I enjoy. Like, and but I have that with the three of you. Like we can sit and talk, and it'll, we'll have the discussion that we'll have will make sense to me, and then hopefully it'll make sense to you guys, and that's part of the dialogue, and that makes me feel better. Miss G, I forgot what we were talking about recently. Like sometimes you'll send me a TikTok and you'll just say, what are your thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
And so that helps me because that means that I have to really pay attention to what you sent me, because we are going to have this, this discussion about it. And that you don't know, like I've never said this to you, but like you don't know how much that means, because it's forcing me, like I always tell Lauren, pay attention. But it forces me to pay attention to that particular item so that we can have that discussion.
Sometimes realize that